Hello, and welcome to Steve's Mixtapes. My guest mixer on Steve Mixtapes this week is another ex-member of The Fall. He played bass in the early 2000s, but he made multiple contributions after that to the group's output in the last 15 years or so of its existence. He's also played with PJ Harvey and Pixies, and he owns, which we'll talk about later on, 6DB Studios in Salford. He is Simon Ding Archer. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Steve.
Yeah, we're doing this in the afternoon, which is a rarity for me. I normally do these. Well, I do them in the evening for most people when the twins are in bed, and I do them in the morning for people in Australia because I've done a couple of those. But
Right,
we're doing this a bit earlier because you're off to see one of my favourite bands this evening, I believe.
oh, is that right? I didn't realize
Yeah.
one of your favourite bands. Yeah, I appreciate you putting me in early. Yeah, I've got a freebie for Dinosaur Jr. tonight.
Yeah, I think I've seen Dinosaur Jr. 4 times, I think. One of my kids has the middle name Jay. In honor of Mr. Massis, and I've also done. I don't know how you feel about ranking songs and all the rest of it, but I did a blog called Weirdness Flows where I ranked all 100 and whatever it is songs of theirs. There's a link to it on the stevesmixtapes.com page. So
Uh,
yeah, big fan. I can
well,
listen.
Murph was here not yesterday, the day before. Um, I don't actually know the band. It's one of my clients. He's a really good friend of theirs. So the drummer arrived a bit earlier than the rest of the band, and he ended up coming down here and doing a bit of recording 2 days ago on
All
the client.
right. Okay.
That was a nice introduction. Just straight in and setting up his drum kit for him.
I mentioned him. I can't remember which episode it was, but somebody's talking about favourite drummers, and I think he's a bit underrated, Murph. I think he's fabulous.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not completely au fait with the band, so I know a few songs, and it does hit me. So I am looking forward to it. But he was totally professional and nailed it in 3 takes. Having walked through the door and gone, "This is the song." 3 takes later, it was done. So yeah, I concur. Very
And,
good.
and Lou Barlow makes a huge contribution to the band. There's always a couple of Lou Barlow sort of songs he's written on it, and they're always very good. It's interesting. I always think Jay Massis sort of steps back from the frenetic soloing a bit for Lou's songs. It's like, this is Lou's time in the spotlight.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, one of the things I find is fabulous. I mean, they're very loud, very
Yeah,
loud indeed.
they're good.
And what I love is the way when he's on one of his solos, he just sort of looks off in the middle distance, like he's a million miles away, and it's like, he's not even having to think about doing it. And to
Yeah.
be able to play guitar like that.
Not looking at his left hand. Let's start
Uh,
there. Yeah, yeah.
Before we start, I have to ask, because I'm amazed actually that I don't know the answer to this, but why Ding?
Oh God. Yeah, well, don't be amazed you don't know the answer because I don't usually publicise it. It's just a stupid thing from school that stuck.
All right.
We used to call each other names that were lots of words all tied together, all starting back with the same letter. And one day, this kid stood up and must have done a 45-second little rant of drip dry, dog dung, dead for day, down the sewer, dingo was the last word that came out. And it stuck. And then when I started working in music, having a name like Dingo kind of makes you a bit more memorable than Simon.
Yeah.
And as people get lazy with 2-syllable names, it gets shortened to Ding.
All right. Okay.
So it's that. Nothing more interesting than that, I'm afraid.
I did see somebody a little while ago suggest it was because you'd once worked as a hotel bellboy. Is that absolute nonsense?
Absolute nonsense.
I thought that sounded a bit unlikely.
No, yeah, absolutely. Never worked in a hotel in my life.
Okay, all right. Okay, so we'll get to the music then. So you'll hit the ground running track. Not a band I was particularly familiar with, but I like this song a great deal. This is, I don't know how you say it, Gogol Bordello.
That's correct.
Yeah, and it's Romani and Ukrainian music mixed with punk and dub was the description I read, which sounds pretty accurate to me.
And they were going to be my song from abroad. And then I did a bit more research. They're actually from the States.
All right, okay.
So that's why it got moved to hit the ground running.
Right, okay. Well, the song's called Start Wearing Purple. It's very stirring. It sounds like the sort of thing you ought to be getting up and dancing to with your arms around your neighbours.
Yes. Yeah, their concerts are great. I mean, it's gypsy punk.
Yeah.
I'd highly recommend going to see. They're touring soon, actually. I do know that. And I don't do cheerful often either. So this is quite a cheerful song for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, rousing. That's the right word.
Start wearing purple, wearing purple. Start wearing purple for me now. All your sanity and wits, they will all vanish, I promise. It's just a matter of time. So yeah, start wearing purple, wearing purple. Start wearing purple for me now. All your sanity and wits, they will all vanish, I promise. It's just a matter of time. I know you since you were at 20. I was 20 and thought that some years from now a purple little lady will be perfect for a dirty old and useless clown. So yeah, start wearing purple, wearing purple. Start wearing purple for me now. All your sanity and wits, they will all vanish, I promise. It's just a matter of time. I know it all from Diogenes to the Foucault, from Ложечкин до паспорту. И я клянусь, обоссав два пальца, что ты, что музыка пошла от звука в уму. Start wearing purple, wearing purple. Na-da-da-da. Start wearing purple for me now. All your sanity and wits, they will all vanish, I promise. It's just a matter of time. So yeah, start wearing purple, wearing purple. Start wearing purple for me now. So why don't you start wearing purple? Why don't you start wearing purple? Start wearing purple for me now. All your vanity and wits, they will all vanish, I promise. It's just a matter of time. So Violetta, дама ты моя. Опа, ах, подадайте нам карету, вот эту, и мы поедем к ебеням. So yeah, I start wearing purple, wearing purple. Start wearing purple for me now. All your vanity and wits, they will all vanish, I promise. It's just a matter of time.
Gogo Bordello with Start Wearing Purple from the album Gypsy Punk's Underdog World Strike from 2005. A fine start to the mix. I want to blow away the cobwebs. Right, now, my usual mixer question, I ask pretty much everybody this, is have you always been somebody for making mixes and compilations? Is there like a box of old C90s in your loft?
There's a box of old C90s in my loft that our John Peel show
Yeah.
with the pause button hit irregular intervals. Actually making mix. No, I'm not.
Okay.
I've done it a couple of times for girlfriends, long time ago, but
Well, as we've discovered on this, pretty much everybody admits to their ex-girlfriend or wife to having made a mix for them. So it seems to be pretty much a
yeah,
rite of passage.
yes, I think so. I think just because I'm constantly working on music, I don't think about knocking compilations together.
Yeah, fair
To be honest, I'm not particularly retrospective. So I always like to be working on something that's not finished yet, rather
Okay.
than sitting back on my laurels and listening to what's happened.
Okay. Well,
So,
you have to be retrospective for the something old choice, and you've gone for some a band that I particularly like. And when I did my Falling Fives radio show a while back, I included them two or three times. A favourite of Marquis Smith as well, I think. It's the
absolutely.
Sonics.
Yeah, they covered Strychnine, didn't they, the Fall? So
Yes, yeah. And one of the most played. I think they did. Ooh, I don't have my book in front of me, but I think about 100 or so times they did Strychnine.
what, live?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can believe it. I mean, Mark always likes to have a cover in the set, so
So this is from their debut album, Here Are the Sonics. Why this one in particular?
it's in your face, and I've actually covered it myself in a different band, in a band called Bobby Peru, and we used to play this live.
All right, well, here it is. This is The Witch.
See, there's a girl who's new in town. Well, you better watch out now, or she'll put you down. 'Cause she's an evil chick. Say she's the witch. She got a long black hair and a big black car. I know what you're thinking, but you won't get far. She's gonna make you ill, 'cause she's the witch. Well, she runs around late at night, most of the people sleeping tight. If you hear a knocking on your door, you better say it on me. Wow, wow, baby, wow. Now you know the score, 'cause I sent you straight. But you better be careful before it's too late. She's gonna make you ill, 'cause she's the witch. Late at night, when most of the people sleeping tight. If you hear a knocking on your door, you better take it away. What is of you in? Say, don't you know? And do you remember that I told you so? Gonna do you in, 'cause she's the witch.
From their 1965 debut album, Here Are the Sonics, that was The Witch. Right, we're on to something new next, Ding. And I always ask people, even though it's a bit of a facile question away, because nobody can keep up with modern music, the ridiculous rate it comes out now. But how do you, I suppose having the studio helps a great deal, but how do you keep up with contemporary music?
Um, well, pre-COVID, I'd say that I'd be at a venue watching small gigs 2 or 3 nights a week. And from point of view of running a studio, that was quite important for me as well, because I'd go fishing. If I liked the band, I'd actively try and get to record them.
Yeah.
Since COVID, that entire network of people I used to hang around with just doesn't exist anymore. And keeping up with how do I keep up with new music? Online research. What if it pops up in my news feed and I like the sound of it, I'll follow up and have a look.
Martin Brahma said he just goes on YouTube and just clicks, the little set of videos you get down the right-hand side that you sort
Oh
of
yeah,
and he just follows it around until he gets something he likes, which is as good a way as any, I think.
yeah. Annoyingly for me, I use YouTube way too much for reference points. So the entire list on my right-hand side is absolutely nothing I have much interest in, other than for the half hour when I was actually working on it. But yeah, that kind of thing. Randomness is an element that has crept in. Yeah.
So for your something new choice, you've gone for a bit of a comeback. In fact, this comeback had passed me by. When I
Yes.
looked at your list, I thought, why has he put them there? That can't be right. But yeah, so this is the Chameleons.
Well, that's why I've put them there. Then there you go. The world needs to know they're back.
Yeah.
They're back on their own form as well.
Yeah, it's
Um,
quite yeah, it's a great song. It's a little more sort of muscular than I remember. They used to be a bit more ephemeral and jangly, I guess. But it's
a
quite a bit of
deliberate
weight to
move
it as
from
well.
it's a deliberate move from them to move away from that a little bit.
Oh, well, let's. I hope you all like it. This is the Chameleons with "Where Are You."
I need someone who recognizes the shining soul behind the eyes. Somebody who will realize that love is real and never dies. I need someone who understands the woes that weigh upon this man, to hold him close and take his hand and lead him to her sacred land. I need someone who can comprehend that time's not real and there is no end, who can set me right, who can be my friend on good days I drive her around the bend. Yeah, I need someone that can keep me sane, that can dress these wounds, that can heal my pain. Yeah, I need somebody that has the grace to tell the truth right to my face.
from an EP that came out last year. That was the Chameleons, a comeback after. Actually, I haven't written down after how long, but it's a long, long time since they released a record, isn't it? That
Yeah,
was
well, there's an album due in September, I believe.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I look forward to hearing that. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
uh, I've heard it through a closed door. It sounds amazing.
All right, okay, interesting. All right. So next is the Something Borrowed choice. People can choose something that sort of pinches from something else. So there's a number of four songs could certainly fit in that category. There are people who've gone for things with a famous sample, but you've gone for a cover. Just before we get to it, the Fall did a lot of covers. You mentioned Strychnine before.
Mm.
Have you got a favourite Fall cover?
Ghost in My House, probably.
All right, okay, okay. I'm
That's a
very
youthful choice rather than any working experience with the Fall. That's a fondness from my youth.
yes, that was a student disco song for me.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely. Yeah. I think probably my favorite. I always say my favorite, although it probably changes now and again. Is the Higgledy Piggledy, the Monks cover,
Oh yeah,
which
yeah.
is it's gloriously messy. That I like that a lot. Yeah. But you've gone for something from 1978. This is Devo.
Second or third band I ever heard, as in a kid discovering music. Um, Typical of me, I discovered them the week after they played Manchester Apollo, and they're on my bucket list. I've still never seen Devo.
All right. Okay.
But I still rate this as probably the best cover version ever done. I think I absolutely love it.
It is very interesting. It's almost like deconstructed, isn't it?
Well, it's Devo, isn't it?
Yeah, it's what they do. So, okay, from 1978, this is Devo with I Can't Get No Satisfaction.
I can't get no satisfaction. I can't get me no satisfaction. And I try, and I try, and I try. I can't get no, I can't get me no. When I'm riding in my car, and a man comes on the radio, he's telling me more and more about some useless information supposed to fire my imagination. I can't get no, no. Hey, that's what I say. I can't get no satisfaction. I can't get me no girly action. And I try, and I try, and I try. I can't get no, I can't get me no. When I'm watching my TV and a man comes on to tell me how white my shirt could be, but it can't be a man 'cause he does not smoke same cigarettes as me. I can't get no, no. Hey, that's what I say. And when I'm flying around the world and I'm doing this and I'm trying that and I'm trying to make something go, you tell me, better come back later next week 'cause you see I'm on a loser streak. I can't get no. Hey, that's what I say. I can't get no. I can't get me no. I can't get no. I can't get me no. No, I can't get no. No, I can't get me no.
From the 1978 album Are We Not Men, We Are Devo. That was them with I Can't Get No Satisfaction. A song produced, I hadn't realised this, produced by David Bowie and Brian Eno.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't really realised that. Okay, so we're on to Something Blue, and you've gone for quite sort of an emotional song, one that sort of puts you through the emotional ringer a bit. It's a band that they were first around, I think, when I was just in that transition from going to smash hits to the NME. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I seem to remember Smash Hits used to take the piss out of them all the time for being overly serious and, all the rest of it. But I know I must have heard this song before because I know somebody at some point taped this album for me. So it's Spear of Destiny. The album's World Service, and
Yeah.
but I didn't particularly remember this song. Anyway, so why have you chosen this one?
Because I think I read it as the criteria was a sad song. It's a very sad song.
Yeah.
Spirit of Destiny, I sort of work with every now and then,
Okay.
and I've got a lot of respect for Kurt, who's the singer. Who it was something blue, wasn't it? He's a big Chelsea fan. There's a blue tie for you.
All right. Okay.
It's just one of them songs that I've seen the band so many times live, and when it comes on, like it still gives me goose pimples now. It's quite anthemic and typical of them. Not, I don't think it was a single, but
I mean, it's like it's sort of an original twist on an age-old story. So, small town boy, sick of the emptiness of his life, goes off to join the army, like his dad, like his granddad, looking for glory. He's had enough of the job centres and doing his city and guilds and all the rest of it. So firmly places it in the 80s as well, doesn't it? City and guilds.
Absolutely, yeah, threat of the bomb.
And he ends up in Northern Ireland. He ends up in the Falklands. I don't know what you think of this, especially when the saxophone solo comes in. Change the accent to a New Jersey one, and it could be a Springsteen song, couldn't it? Yeah, I wonder what reaction I might get to that.
Well, if that were the case, I wouldn't have put it forward today.
Right, okay, right. Well, we'll not get into the discussion. I am a big Bruce fan, so we'll not get into that discussion.
Right. Okay.
This is Spear of Destiny with Mickey.
Nothing happening in my life, he said, lying one night in his bed. He had enough of the job centres, like he had enough of his city and guilds. Then his mother, she cried, and he asked her why, and this she said by way of reply: your granddaddy fought in the 1418, your father too in 44. Now little Mickey's gonna run away and find himself a war. Now Mickey ain't smart, but Mickey ain't dumb. In fact, all he wanted was to have a little fun. He's bored with the streets and the pubs he knows, and he don't want to marry the girls he knows. He's lived all his life in his northern town, but his father ain't around. Mickey's leaving home. Mickey's leaving home. Mickey's leaving home. Gave Orders were issued and machine guns bombed. Luck ran out there that day. A mine went off, then Mickey was blind. The boy felt arms lifting tenderly. They carried him to the beach, then they walked away. Mickey was lucky there that day. Even though he laughs, he can't explain it away. And his mother, she cried, and he asked her why. And this she said by way of reply: your granddaddy fought in the 1418, your father too in 44. Now little Mickey's gonna run away and find himself a war. I wanna go home. 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 Take me home. To you, mother.
Okay, just before we get to the next choice, which is the Take It Down choice, and it's a fall song. You've had the studio in Salford for, is it 35 years you've been doing it now?
It's not been the same location that long, but I've been in the game 35. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
So
That's
in terms
grabbing that
of
one.
in terms of running a studio and recording albums, and so on, what's changed over that period?
What's changed? Quite a lot. Everything is designed in life to make life easier for you. So everything is now being presented as though you can do this at home, you can do it yourself. And I'm finding there's a struggle to get people to understand that although you can do it yourself, you're not definitely going to get the best results
No.
from a confined space, and not being able to turn the volume up after 8 o'clock because your mum's knocking on the walls and stuff like that. So I'm finding it's harder and harder to entice clientele into the idea of actually going to a recording studio at all, let alone then going, "Oh, you need to pick mine and come and work with me." So I think what's changed most of all is not the number of people attempting to do music. I think that's probably grown, if anything, but this belief that you can do everything yourself.
There's that statistic, I can't remember what it was now, but since 2000, the number of number ones, I mean, not that, that's perhaps much of a measure these days, but the number of number one singles by bands rather than solo artists is like in the single figures, because so many people do it. I suppose the technology exists for people to be able to do that now, doesn't it?
Yeah, and again, you've got to talk about. I suppose you've got to look at what type of music is they're doing. So if you are a singer, doing electronic stuff, yeah, you can do it all at home. I'm suppose I'm talking more from a being in a 4 people with guitars and a drum perspective. So that kind of makes sense because it is possible to sit at home with a computer and knock something together.
Yeah, okay. So the song you've gone for is from Your Future Are Clutter, one of my certainly one of the best late era Fall albums, but just one of the best Fall albums altogether. Even if it has got a slightly dodgy cover, I would say it's not one of their best efforts.
Nothing to do with me.
Great good album. One of the interesting things about doing the book that I did was I listened to a huge amount of bootlegs.
Right.
Just to hear sort of the evolution of some of the songs. And
Yeah.
some of them are particularly interesting. This one that you've gone for, Weather Report 2, is a really good case in point because the live versions of it had quite a noisy sort of climactic guitar-based coda at the end. But it ended up on record something very, very different. Do you know what, I mean, what was the process? How did it end up having this sort of deep, abstract electronica bit in the second half?
I was glued on the end.
Yeah.
So quite a lot of the studio recordings. I mean, Your Future I Clutter's probably not the best example for me because I only did a couple of tracks on that album. But quite often there'd be 2 or 3 different ideas floating around that Mark would glue together to make one. Sometimes you'd be struggling to see his mentality behind how that could possibly work. However, if you've got someone standing over your shoulder shouting at you enough, it will work in the end. Weather Report, I see from recollection, you mentioned listening to bootlegs there. Every now and then we did used to reach out because as much as Mark would hate to admit that the whole network existed, he would occasionally dip in and borrow a couple of bootlegs just to remind himself what lyrics had been put on it during live shows. And I've got a feeling, Weather Report was one of those that basically went through a whole stripping down process. I think it was started loud and blaring, as you said, and then just got pulled back and back and back. And I thought the end result was quite beautiful. That's why I picked it. I wasn't so much picking it for the minute and a half on the end of abstract noise, but it was just the beauty of his vocal on that particular occasion. I really like.
It's interesting, isn't it? No one's ever called me sir in my life. It's sort of the same theme as, going back to Big New Prince and, he is not appreciated and all that sort of stuff and Hip Priest and all that. But it's delivered in a different way. It's a bit more sort of world weary and resigned, isn't it?
He used to call people sir all the time, which is, I think, the irony in it.
When he wasn't calling them cock.
when he wanted to get what he wanted and he was trying the polite route, they were sir.
Okay. All right. So this is The Fall with Weather Report 2.
The Veterans would change my life. I walk down the city streets. I see weather reports. Recording of Lost London. You don't deserve rock and roll.
From the excellent 2010 album, partly recorded in my guest mixer, Simon Dingarch's 6dB Studios, Your Future Our Clutter, that was Weather Report 2. Now, just before we get on to the next choice, uh, in the wake of Mark's death and the end of the Fall, there's been quite a lot of barrel scraping live albums come out, which I guess nobody is surprised by, but not really anything in the way of post-Fall, material, studio material. I'm thinking of the likes of, you think of like the Jimi Hendrixes of this world, where they, and every time he coughed in the studio, they sort of released it. Does that mean there isn't anything that exists, or that nobody's?
But I hope you're not referring there to what the original members are doing at the moment with the live
Oh,
recording.
no, definitely not those. Oh God, no. I'm referring. Just no, I'll be straight with that. I'm talking about all those releases.
Certain record labels' constant regurgitation of
the stuff that Paul and Craig and Mark don't see a penny from. That's what I'm talking.
Right. Yeah. Totally agree with you there.
Really good releases, yeah, and more power to their elbow. And I'll put links to
totally.
You know the ones I'm referring to, don't you? Dodgy bootlegs, medium quality sound at best.
And tag three of them on top of the get a remastered version of something and call it a new box set. I think that someone there is just looking to try and make as much money as possible, and don't buy it. Just don't buy it.
But you were involved in, lots of the Fall's final albums. Is there stuff lurking about that could be released or shouldn't be released, or?
Yes. Yes to both questions.
Okay. Do you think anything will see the light of day that's worthwhile?
That's worthwhile?
Yeah.
Highly unlikely.
Yeah. Okay.
Highly unlikely. I mean, that you've not heard before, maybe, but I can't think of anything I'm sat on that's groundbreaking and like, wow, the world should have heard this.
Yeah.
There's lots of stuff floating around with earlier versions of the vocal, for example, where the band thought they'd signed off on it and Mark's still changing stuff. So there's a bit of that, but if Mark didn't want you to hear it, Mark didn't want you to hear it. Well,
for me, I'm more than happy for New Fact to Merge to be the end of the job. It was a fine swan song, a great album, and that's a good one as far as I'm concerned. Right, let's move on. Around the world, we're going on to now. So, usual question: do you listen to a lot of stuff that isn't from the UK, US?
Yes, I do. So in the late 80s and hitting towards the mid 90s, when Manchester was Madchester, I'd learned how to be a sound engineer and was listening to a lot of European stuff from there. So bands like Front 242, Lie Back, you're ultimately lean towards the Young Gods, who we're going to be playing in a moment. So yes, a lot of the European stuff was heavily influencing what I has done from then onwards. So yes, I like the European electronic scene.
Okay, because we've been in lots of places on this so far on the podcast. We've been to Cambodia, we've been to Japan, we've been to Nigeria, but this is our first visit to Switzerland. For, as you mentioned, the Young Gods, and this is a song called "Kissing the Sun." from the 1995 album Only Heaven. That was Young Gods with Kissing the Sun. Would you describe that as industrial, I guess?
Yeah, well, kissing the industrial. Yeah, it's not a million
That
miles.
end of things, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean their earlier stuff is far more industrial than that particular piece there. They're very much what they were originally. So two guys on stage, one of them with a Akai sampler keyboard with just guitar loops on it and the drums, and you'd see him just pressing two notes on the keys and the singer singing predominantly in French. I think it is the main
Okay.
and it just had that was really industrial then.
Okay. So you've seen them live a few times?
I have seen them live maybe 4 times, yeah.
Okay.
And again, they're currently, I know they're playing Manchester soon, and annoyingly, I'm not in the city, which seems to be happening more and more these days. So they're touring again soon.
Right, on to left of centre, where I ask my guest mixers to choose something a bit unusual, something maybe for the fringes of their record collection. And I learnt something when I did this because when I saw the artist's name, I had no idea how to pronounce it. I presumed it was Uria, but I gather that's wrong. It's actually pronounced Uaya.
Yeah, to in the Scouse accent.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a great accent. I can only do Geordie, which is where I
okay. Well, that might work.
So it's spelled Oorya, but it is, as I looked it up, pronounced Uaya. I looked this. There is a website, www.uaya.net, which I'll put a link to on the webpage. Described as queer electro punk folk sonic excavation made with lyrically dancing neurodivergent synthetic, I don't know what that means, soul machine, guitars, beat synth, and accompanied by Eon, the emotional support dinosaur. So
well, you wanted avant-garde left to centre. I think that kind of the word you read out there.
So how did you come across Uaya?
It's a girl called Steph. She's a Welsh singer, fantastic voice. Was originally in a band called Glove, who were on John Robb's record label, Louder Than War, for one EP or LP? EP. And I recorded that, so I kind of got introduced to them via that. And then Steph and Hen Glove split up, and Steph started this solo career where she's basically got loop pedals and guitar, and I was totally blown away the first time she came in the studio. Absolutely, like she just set her stuff up and played, and it might as well have been a finished recording because it was, there was nothing wrong with it. It was glorious. I mean, she's a fantastic artist, and she needs a bit more recognition than she's got.
Nature's learned our lessons well. If they can't play nice, then give them hell. Nature's learned our lessons well. If they can't play nice, give them hell. Give them hell. Give them hell. Give them hell. No is gold and free whenever you want it, so spend without resistance. We are pulsing against the tide of inequality, and the mycelium knows. Irons cause fires. You try to take out my creases, making everything flat, flat, flat. Irons cause fires. You try to burn what we're building, and we can't have none of that. Oh, irons cause fires. You try to take out my creases, making everything flat, flat, flat. Irons cause fires. You try to burn what we're building, and we can't have none of that. Oh. We have saved all we once had and turned it into ornaments, 20 disco balls, and more ivy than brick can handle. We are dismantling the old way of life with itself. We are dismantling life with itself. Irons cause fires. You try to take out my crease.
Irons by Uaya, a single from 2022. I read the description of it before. It's fairly uncategorizable, really, but a really, really great song and
Yeah.
really, really original as well. So yeah, great. Okay, now your wild card choice is a band that it's remixed by you, and it's a band you play with permanently or just occasionally, or
I'm afraid we've got a past tense that, Steve. There won't be any more playing with Red Lorry or Lorry.
okay.
Um,
Well, it was interesting you mentioned about taping John Peel with your finger over the pause button because, like
Yeah.
you, I had loads of cassettes with sort of 4 or 5 sessions on both sides, and I do
Yeah.
remember the one that had talk about the weather.
Yeah.
On it. I definitely had that on an old C90 at some
Yeah,
point.
that might be their first one, actually.
I think it is, yeah, yeah. So what's the story with Red Lorry, Yellow Lorry then?
Well, again, one of those bands that, as a kid, absolute massive fan of, and like yourself, had the cassettes, and ended up playing with, which is, I don't know, it just seems to happen to me every now and then. So, I played with the Lorries from 2014 to 2016, and we recorded an album during that time. It never came out. And then we played my 50th birthday party back in, when was that? 2016.
Okay.
And that was the last gig, unbeknownst to us at the time. With Chris,
Right.
Chris the singer, his mum had dementia for a very long time, and he ended up looking after her for years. And at the end of her time, he has decided he's got no more interest in playing live music anymore. And the album just sat on the shelves and sat on the shelves. And then Wolfie, the guitarist, was kind of actively trying to get it out. And an American label called Cop have taken the album and said they wanted to put it out. And so I got asked about had I got the masters. And the masters are basically the finished mixes. After the finished mixes have been finished, they get processed and in the mastering process. That had never happened. So I kind of flagged up, oh, well, they never got mastered. Do you want me to have a look at mastering them? And in so doing that, I then started listening and thinking I could mix this better than I had done.
Okay.
Very hard for me to let go of things once I started on them. And as a result, it got completely and utterly remixed over the very back end of last year. And I think January is the last date I've got. So I was remixing it again right up till January, just to give it a proper kick up the backside and make it really pump. So the final album's coming out in September.
This has come out though on an EP of the same name. Is that right?
Yeah. So just to whet people's appetites, we did a remix of one of the tracks, and they put out a 12-inch with a couple of other people doing remixes. And so yeah, this is just this. I kind of love the track. It's the Lorries. The Lorries are great, and I wanted people to hear it. Really, so at the moment, it's only available on a very limited 12-inch, which I suspect is sold out now.
Standing in my way.
from an EP of the same name. That was Driving Black, Ding's remix by Red Lorry, Yellow Lorry, and that was released in 2024. And as Ding says, there's a full album coming out in September. And if you haven't heard it, I don't know whether they're available on sort of Spotify and all the rest of it, but dig out the early Peel sessions. So they're great. They used to play with a drum machine, didn't they?
Say again.
They used to play with a drum machine.
They were the first band I ever saw live with a real drummer and a drum machine.
Okay.
So I remember sort of seeing them, some at the Boardwalk in Manchester. They were touring a single off the second LP, I can't remember now. But I was, again, very young. The power that just that put out, it blew me away because he had this drum machine. Their drum machine pattern is very incessant as well. It's it's very much in your face, and that with a real drummer on top was just whoa, very powerful. At the time, it was the most powerful thing I'd seen live.
All right, good stuff. Before we get to the finale, I was going to ask about sort of current projects, future plans. So you said you're not playing with Red Lorry, Yellow Lorry anymore. What about Imperial Wax?
Imperial Wax, I was kind of doing keyboards with them when available,
right?
And I couldn't do quite a few gigs, so I think unofficially I've probably been laid off. I've had the conversation with them.
You've had your P45.
That said, they are booked in to record with me later this year, so I might not be playing with them. I'm certainly going to be hopefully working with them again.
And anybody else interested booked into the studio in the next few months?
I've got Inca Babies in at the moment doing a new album.
That's another one I had on the Peel session on the C90, definitely.
Yeah. I love working with Harry. He's great, and Rob. Who else? Oh, I'm doing a 35th anniversary version of Triple AK's second LP, Big Fist.
Oh right, okay.
Which I'm totally obsessed with at the moment. I'm absolutely.
Remind me, wasn't somebody who was in the Fall in that with you, or I misremembered that?
You've misremembered that. And that was me and a lad called Paul Paulinson. As a two-piece for a long time, and then we ended up getting stupid gigs just through my work. So we ended up touring with the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So we've gone from playing the local pub to playing a football stadium, and I kind of realised that me on stage behind a keyboard and Paul singing might not kind of fill the stage as well. So we kind of went up to being a 5-piece band for a while.
Right. Okay.
But there was no one Fall related in that.
Oh, right. Okay.
And then I've gone back to with just a 2-piece again. But it's me getting a chance to put a 2025 stamp and 35 years of experience on stuff I did 35 years ago, and it's
right.
The songs are all right, but the production's weak, and the actualization of it is weak. So I'm really enjoying kind of digging these old tunes up and turning them around. So we're turning songs that Paul and I vowed never to do live ever again into potential singles just by completely redesigning and rethinking it. So it's good fun. Hopefully I'll have that should be done by summer, and then hopefully there'll be some gigs by the end of the year, just about anniversary.
I'll look out for them. Right, on to your finale track. I was just listening. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts, to be honest, but one of my favourites is Sombrero Fallout, Ian Forth, from which was on my second show that I ever did. And his latest episode is one of these ones that's periodically when we've lost a number of people. So he did one around Clem Burke, and who else has we lost? Oh, Rick Buckler from the Jam.
Oh, right.
So, because from your comment before, you and I are of a similar age, and we're getting that stage, aren't we, where the bands we listen to in our teens and 20s, they're starting to shuffle off this mortal coil, aren't they? You get sort of clumps of them, and this is one because we lost Geordie Walker a couple of years ago, didn't we? So this is Killing Joke you've gone for. Why this particular song from them?
Why this particular song from them? This song is when I go to any recording studio to work, and I don't know the monitor set up there, I don't know how the room sounds. This is the song that I always put on to learn how the room's behaving, because I know it, sonically I know it that well. I think the production's absolutely amazing. It's got so much. It's Killing Joke, which who are my favourite band anyway, and they're on a particular high point here. And there's a well-known story about Killing Joke and 80s and Come As You Are by Nirvana. Basically, Nirvana ripped off Killing Joke, and Killing Joke let them get away with it. And then later in life, turned around to Dave Grohl and said, "Well, you owe us one." And he's drumming on this album.
Yeah, I was surprised to find Dave Grohl was on drums on this album. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, and the drums were done last. Usually the drums are what you put down first, and then everyone plays. Yeah.
Oh,
So
I don't know much about the recording process at all, Ding, but yeah, that does as a novice that does surprise me.
Yeah. So the drums went down. There's a bit of footage on YouTube where Dave Grohl is receiving instruction for not this song, but another one with a very strange time signature. You can hear him go, so it's 5, 13, 7, 2. And then you see him in the booth going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, bang. Song called Asteroid. You should check it out. But so the fact that it got done last just kind of puts a little edge on the whole recordings, I think. But sonically, as I say, the production's superb. The track's fantastic. Killing Joke are my favourite band. And I think this one's powerful enough to sort of, if you've never heard them, if you don't like this, you won't like them. It's as simple as that.
Mark out the points, build the pyre, assemble different drummers, light up the fire, put on your masks and animal skins. Illumination, illumination. Listen to the drums. Between each beat of the drum. Oh, beloved mother of liberty, hold me in your arms.
The Death and Resurrection Show by Killing Joke from their self-titled 2003 album featuring Dave Grohl on drums. Have you ever actually met Dave Grohl?
No,
No,
he's one
okay.
of those I've not met. No.
No, I mean, he's supposed to be one of the nicest guys in rock music, as far as I know, but I don't know.
Yeah. Does his wife think so?
Well, yeah, yes, that's fair comment. Fair comment.
I hope he's not listening because I haven't met him.
Well, I think I like to think I'm gradually growing the listenership of this podcast. But if Dave Grohl's listening, or Dave Grohl's wife is listening, I'll be very impressed.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't think we're quite at that stage yet. Anyway, so that just remains me to say, Ding, thank you very much for coming on. It's been a pleasure. And I hope you enjoy Dinosaur Jr. and Jay Massis's solo and Murph's drumming and Lou Barlow as well tonight.
Oh, I'm sure I will. I'm sure I will because you've told me it's going to be loud, and loud works.
All right. Okay. Cheers then.
All right, Steve.